posterolateral corner of the knee and posterolateral injuries of the knee. So if you see the knee joint is made up of many ligaments, ACL, PCL, MCL and the LCL. Now the lateral sided structure is usually made up of a ligamentous complex which is called as a posterolateral complex, PLC. It has got three most common elements. The first is the LCL, which runs from the femoral condyle to the fibula. The second, if you see the lateral aspect of the femur, and if supposedly this is the fibula, this is the tibia. So the most important structure is LCL or femorofibular ligament. So this is like this. The second structure starts from the anterior of this and goes posterior. This is called as a popliteus tendon. So it goes like this, and at the tendinous and tendon and muscle junction, there is a ligament which goes here, and this ligament is called as popliteofibular ligament, PFL. So LCL, PFL, and popliteus. So if you see, there are three most common structures: LCL, popliteofibular ligament, and popliteus. So these are the three most common structures which make the posterolateral complex in together. And whenever the LCL is torn, the patient will have a varus pain. So the opening of the joint will be increased. So it is divided into grade 1, grade 2 and grade 3. Grade 1 is 0 to 5, grade 2 is 5 to 10 and grade 3 is more than 10. Now the important thing here is because it is attached to the posterior structure of the tibia, it is an important restraint to the external rotation. So whenever a posterolateral complex is torn, the patient's external rotation will increase. So not only there will be a varus thrust, but there will be increased in external rotation. So this is an important sign. So if the patient has got an external rotation which is more than 10 degrees of the other side, other knee, then it is suggestive of a PLC injury. I am talking about a 30 degree. If it is in more than that, more flexion, then a PCL with PLC. Now, PLC injury can be associated with, this can be an anterior based injury or it can be a posterior based injury. So it can occur with an ACL injury, which is very common. It can occur with the PCL injury also. So if it is with the PCL, then the patient will have increased external rotation in 90 degree of flexion also. Okay, and very occasionally it's a solitary injury, means only the PLC is torn, rest of the other ligament is normal. So around 20 to 28% chances of a solitary PLC injuries without ACL PCL injuries. Whenever there is a significant PLC injury with an avulsion type of pattern, you should always rule out a popliteal nerve injury. It is very common, and if it is there, it is a poor prognosis injury because it is a stretch injury to the nerve and usually it is not recoverable. It will not be recovered easily. So it's a difficult injury to treat, and it is, you have to explain to the patient that the chances of recovery is less. So whenever I face with this kind of an acute scenario with a PLC avulsion with a popliteal nerve injury, we always do a nerve exploration along with the PLC, and majority of time I have seen that this nerve will not recover. And these patients I will explain in the first go when I see them that it can be either a neuropraxia or a complete nerve injury, and if it is a complete nerve injury, then you may need a tendon transfer later on in your life. So this kind of injuries with a nerve injuries is a poor prognosis injury, and the patient may need later on tendon transfers. So what I do is I put them on an AFO after doing the ligament reconstruction on the lateral side, and then they will be counseled for the need of tendon transfer if it does not recover within 3 to 6 months of time.
So release is required while doing the...
Always, whenever, if these patients come to me as a primary patient with a foot drop, I will always do a neurolysis along with a PLC acute repair. Now PLC acute repair, if you read books again, it is said that it is not very successful surgery, but I will always attempt and do it. In our Indian scenario, I would always, if there is a posterolateral injury with the tail, you can see a avulsion fragment of the fibula, I will always try to do a primary repair of PLC along with neurolysis. Okay, so this is, I am talking about, this is the primary injury and an acute presentation. Now, if the presentation is chronic, then the treatment will be little different. So this is about the acute presentation. Although it is if you read the books, it is recommended that repairs are not very successful and should not do it. But still, I would recommend that if there is a bone chuck, if there is a frank instability on the posterolateral corner, it is still better to go ahead and repair it, and usually it will give you a good result. Now, chronic scenarios, you need to again investigate with the clinical examination and the MRI imaging and the varus stress test. A very, very important dictum in all PLC injuries is a PLC repair or reconstruction cannot withstand a varus knee. So, if the patient has a varus plus PLC, it's a very deadly combination. A varus injury with a PLC is a very, very deadly combination, and never ever do a PLC procedure in a gross varus knee. Little varus is okay, but if the significant varus, you need to do a HTO first. So, for the treatment of PLC injuries in a varus knee, the treatment recommended is not a reconstruction but a HTO. Okay, so varus plus PLC injuries is a very deadly combination, very bad combination. You should be very, very careful about addressing it. Okay, now comes about the pure PLC chronic injuries. Okay, so these are usually in my practice there are two main procedures that you can do. One is a Larsen, which is a more commonly done procedure, and other is a Laprade. Now, in Indian scenarios, again, this is more practical. This has got the problems of availability of the graft, because this is not a solitary injury, as I told you. You will not get the options of too many grafts here in India because you don't have allografts available. So what I would recommend is that you start with the Larsen's procedure. So what we do in Larsen is it's basically two-tailed. Larsen and Laprade, what is the difference? Larsen is a two-tailed and Laprade is a three-tailed. So as I told you, there are three structures: LCL, popliteofibular ligament, popliteus. Larsen will reconstruct the LCL part and the popliteofibular ligament. So what you do is you make a graft. You pass it from the femur to a tunnel in the fibula and then over itself on the same hole, or you can make an anterior hole. That is up to you. There are two techniques of Larsen. You can make a single femur hole or you can make two femur holes. Okay. In a Laprade procedure, you have to do all the three. So you do popliteus, LCL and PFL, and what you do is you expose the posterolateral corner of the tibia, and you drill a tunnel like this for the tibia also. You drill a tibial tunnel, you drill a fibular tunnel, and you use two grafts. First graft will go from here, then it will go from here, then it will go from here and go from here, and the second graft will go from here and like this. Okay, so it is a two grafts. You need two long grafts. So usually Laprade is done in those centers which will have a plenty of allografts which is available, and they will reconstruct all the three anatomical limbs of the structure. Whereas Larsen's procedure is done in, usually we recommend it here, in which basically there is a LCL opening or a LCL thrust. Now there is another procedure which is described, which is called as an arthroscopic popliteus reconstruction. This procedure is described by Dr. Banja, and this is called as a scopy popliteus reconstruction. Now this procedure is described for those patients who have a solitary only popliteus. So they will not have a opening of LCL, but they will have an increased external rotation. So in this procedure, he uses a graft and he goes from here and pass it into the tibia. It's a technically demanding procedure. It's just like doing a PCL. So you go from the posterior approach of the knee and you make a popliteus reconstruction. So this is for a patient who has a specifically only popliteus injury. So only increase in here without a opening on the lateral side. So in this patient, you can do a arthroscopic popliteus reconstruction. Okay. So for practical purposes, acute cases, I would still recommend that you do repairs. exploration of the nerve if needed if there is an injury, explaining of the tendon transfer later. In chronic cases, most of the cases will be done with Larson. Rarely, if the patient is very high demand and you have plenty of grafts available, then you can think of Laprade. And this is a thing that will come up in the future. That is a isolated popliteus ligament reconstruction, which you can do with the Banchas technique. Okay. And the other thing that is very important is the neglected PLC injury is the most common cause of the failure of the ACL. The other important thing here is ACL can fail for ACL supplementation or as a supplementary procedure, you do a with an ACL in a revision case, either you do a LET or you do PLC. Now to identify which to be done is very important. So don't do an LET for those patients in which there is a PLC. So LET you do for a high grade pivot, whereas PLC where you do when there is a valgus thrust, there is an opening and increased acceleration. So if it is there, then you do PLC. If you do PLC, don't do LET. If you do LET, don't do PLC. So you can do only one of these procedures, because in most of the revision scenarios of ACL, you will be tend or you will be inclined to do a additional procedure. So if you want to do an additional procedure, if the patient has an explosive pivot, go for LET. If the patient has a opening on the valgus side, and increased extrusion, go for a PLC reconstruction. Don't go both the procedures together. So this is very important. Okay, any questions?